Interest is something that you can earn from a bank. If you deposit money and put it in a savings account, you can earn extra money by just having it be sitting in that account in the bank. Interest is also something that you could pay back. If you borrow money from the bank, you're using their money to buy something, you're going to owe them some extra money. There is a formula for simple interest. It is I is equal to P times R times T. I represents the interest that you earn or that you might have to pay back. P stands for the principal. That's the amount that you deposit or that you could borrow. The rate is the percent. And the time, T stands for time, and it is always expressed in years. So if you have the time in months, you're going to need to change it to years. Here again is the simple interest formula. I is equal to P times R times T. Principal is the amount of money deposited or borrowed. So P stands for principal. The simple interest is the amount of money that you get if you deposit money in the bank, or it's the amount of money that you have to pay back. I stands for interest. The R is the rate, which is the percentage, and T stands for time. And remember, the time must be done in years. Mrs. Ramirez is investing $400 in a savings account at a simple interest rate of 2% to purchase a laptop computer. She plans on investing the money for 18 months. We are just pulling out the information that we are going to use. $400 is going to represent the principal. That's how much she is investing. The 2% is the rate. Even though it says simple interest, it goes along with that word rate. So that is your rate. And your time is 18 months. But you have to remember, months needs to be turned into years. There are 12 months in 1 year. So we take 18 and we divide it by 12. So the information that we would use would be the principal is 400. The rate is 0.02 because we need to take that percent and divide it by 100. And when I take 18 and divide it by 12, I get 1.5 or 1.5 years. Arnold puts $580 into a savings account. The account pays 3% simple interest. How much interest will he earn in each amount of time? The time that we're looking at is 5 years and 6 months. So let's first start with the 5 years. We use our simple interest formula of I is equal to PRT. The $580 represents the principal because that's what he's putting into the savings account. Our simple interest is 3%. So the first thing we want to do is divide that by 100 and turn it into a decimal. And then the amount of time that we're talking about is 5 years. All I need to do is multiply these three numbers together, and that gives me $87. So after 5 years, Arnold would have earned $87 in interest. 6 months, we can do the same way. We're going to use the same formula, but the first thing we have to do is turn our 6 months into years. We divide by the number of months in 1 year. We're using the same exact formula. We're using the same principal, the same rate divided by 100. We multiply it all together and we end up getting $8.70 will be earned in 6 months. Rondell's parents borrow $6,300 from the bank for a new car. The interest rate is 6% per year. How much simple interest will they pay if they take 2 years to repay the loan? we are going to use the simple interest formula. We are looking for the interest, so I will stay I. The principal, the amount borrowed, is $6,300. The rate is 6%, which we need to turn into a decimal. And we already have our time in years, so we can just plug in 2 for years. Now, to turn this to a decimal, all we need to do is divide by 100. There's our principal, our rate as a decimal, and our time in years. They're all on the same side of the equation. All we need to do is multiply them together, and we find that Rondell's parents will have to pay an extra $756 in interest in 2 years. Luis is taking out a car loan for $5,000. He plans on paying off the car loan in 2 years. At the end of 2 years, Luis will have paid $300 in interest. What is the simple interest rate on the car loan? This problem is different because we have the interest amount. What we're looking for is the rate on the car loan. We have the principal, the amount that Luis is borrowing. We have the time already in years. We are still going to use the simple interest formula, I is equal to P times R times T. However, we're going to plug in our numbers a little differently. I have my interest, I have my principal, and I have my time. I do not have the rate. What we are going to do first is we are going to multiply the two numbers that we have together on the same side. 5,000 times 2 will give us 10,000 times R, we just put the R at the end. And our simple interest, we have done nothing with that yet. We are going to divide both sides by the number that's with the variable. So we are going to divide by 10,000 to cancel it out. On the left-hand side, again, we're still going to divide by 10,000. What you do to one side, you're going to do to the other. 300 divided by 10,000 gives us 0.03. That's our R, but that's in decimal form. In order to turn it into a percent, we always compare percent with 100. This time we're going to multiply to get the percent. So our simple interest rate would be 3%.